Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MSU Inside Out. I am your co-host, Cole Clementich.
And I'm Janie Wunderlich.
And Janie, we have another good show here for you guys today. It's Hostfest week in Minot, and we also got some MSU Life student events rolling around. Janie, what else do we have on the show today?
Yeah, we're going to have our usual weather and a few other news updates. Esports, we have a special guest for that. And we have a big announcement at the end of the show, so stay tuned because we're excited to share it with you guys.
Yeah, make sure to be aware of that. And kicking us off today, Wolf has some campus and also some other Minot news going on. Wolf, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Cole. Being a California-born native, it's actually my first time seeing Hostfest this year. Tell me, have you guys experienced it before?
We have, actually. It's a few times, here and there, but it's a lot of fun. Get to celebrate the Scandinavian heritage around here.
I'm going to see it very, very soon, and I'm super excited. But on to campus news. Financial aid FAFSA is available for signing this week on Saturday. It's always better to do that sooner rather than later. If you're part of the Power Group, they're offering free food and assistance for filling out your FAFSA on Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Beyond that, if on-campus politics makes you curious, Minot State has chosen 4 finalists for Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs. Each finalist will be on campus sometime in October, with our first one being Dr. Peter Hansen on Monday. Followed up behind him would be Dr. Kristen McCombs on Wednesday. More on this next week. If you're interested in more information, they will be taking place in the Memorial Hall, room 114 at 11 a.m. Speaking of staff, a familiar face on campus is retiring. The custodian for Minot State, Mary Ann Feltzer, retires next Monday. You can stop by the Fisher Room at 1 o'clock to wish her well and enjoy some refreshments. The MSU Vaccination Clinic opens up from 11 to 1 p.m. and later at 3 o'clock to 4, a student workshop covering important leadership skills, this week being ethics. Later in the evening, the Student Government Association is holding one of their regular meetings in the evening at 7 p.m. If you have an hour, the workshop may be well worth your time, so stop by 101 Old Main and pick up some free life skills. You can pick up another workshop the day after, as well at the same time, the discussion being centered around team goal setting. To end off this week's news, the Wellness Center is hosting a Club Cup, which all MSU clubs can attend Wednesday at 7. The Minot State clubs can sign up for different team sports and score points for their clubs. If you're part of a club, then bring up the idea to your club advisor and colleagues, because it's always fun to get the blood flowing. That's all I got for this week. Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you so much for that update, Wolf. Hostfest, the annual Scandinavian festival, is currently going on here at Minot. And visiting us from somewhere between the 9th and 11th century is Viking Norman. Norman, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start off. Where are you from? Are you from the States?
I am from the Twin Cities area, so right in Minnesota, 8 hours away.
Okay, cool. So did you fly or drive up here?
I drove up here, yeah.
Oh, long drive.
Yep, I mean, it's worth it, though. Hostfest is a great festival. My brothers and I have been coming up here as a Viking since 2008, so.
Oh, good. Well, we're very excited to have you on the show. We've all been really excited about having an actual Viking here. Yeah. So tell us, what is a Viking exactly? I feel like we all have our conceptions of what it is, but tell us what the real deal is.
So there's a couple different ways that Viking was used. A lot of the times in written accounts that we have is more so like pirate, but at the same time, a lot of those written accounts were done by the people that didn't like the Vikings. So like monks or different things and stuff like that. Typically, you can say the Scandinavians or the Norse were the people of Scandinavia and stuff like that, and Vikings were the people who went out and made a living on the sea.
Okay.
So like either trading or pillaging, ransoming people, all of that together.
Yeah, so you made the comment of kind of how some people didn't like the Vikings. So like I said, we have this idea of what you guys are in our head, but what are some common misconceptions that you guys hear a lot about what an actual Viking is?
Well, Vikings get a bad label of being barbarians or bloodthirsty and stuff like that. And one thing that we have to remember is the context of the time. At the time of the Viking Age, you also have people like Charlemagne. And Charlemagne was a very bloody ruler, just like everybody was. The problem with kings like Charlemagne and stuff like that is you can see their armies coming from weeks away across the land, where the Vikings, you might wake up and suddenly you have 63 warships on the river right outside.
Right.
So the Vikings, they would come in, they were very good. They could go along the coast, they could go in rivers, they made it all the way to Constantinople, they made connections to the Silk Roads, they got everywhere. And some people just didn't know how to deal with. Suddenly, we have a threat we have to deal with.
Right. Okay, so obviously you're not from the 9th or the 11th century, but what is the importance of carrying on this heritage that you guys have of the Vikings and coming up to a festival such as the Hostfest here in Minot?
Well, so there's a lot of interesting things about the Viking Age. There's not much that, like I said before, that the Vikings themselves wrote down, so there's a lot of interpretation of things. The Viking Age was also a very crucial point of like establishing some of the important things in Europe that followed into the actual medieval era. Like the Viking Age is early medieval. Vikings built and taught the Irish all of their major cities. So Dublin was built by the Vikings and stuff like that. That happened with a lot of coastal trading towns upon there. Eventually you get the Vikings becoming Normans down in France, and the Normans were huge players in like the establishment of what became like England and like a lot of these other major cities. Like the Vikings and the trades and the battles and like the reactions to all that were one of the major aspects of creating what became Europe in the medieval era.
Yeah, wow, I had no idea. That's a lot of knowledge though. So you mentioned that you and your brothers come up from Minneapolis. What is it exactly that you here in Minot? Like, what do you guys do at the festival?
So at the festival, we have a Viking village. We have a couple people demonstrating crafts. So we have a blacksmith there. We have a cooking demonstration. We have a coinsmith. We have some enforced cats, like the breed of cats that went on the ships with the Vikings. We have archery games for kids. A couple times a day, we will do live steel battle demos. So me and my friends, we take blunted weapons that, you know, we like keeping blood in our body so they're not sharp, but we'll hit each other with them and, you know, have some fun with that.
Yeah. Okay, so you have some props here. Do you want to go ahead and explain, like, what it is and what they are?
Yeah, so we have, like, this is just kind of show, like, some of the things you can see from the Viking Age. So, like, this here is a reproduction of the Grimambu helmet. For many, many decades, this was the only helmet that we ever had found from the Viking era. So this is a reproduction of it. A lot of the stuff we have there is either reproducing things that we have found or things that we know that they have, or things like this chest here, which is taking the information of what we have found and making new stuff. Yeah, so this one here is just my tool chest. There's just some simple tools and stuff like that for different projects that I'm working on. Cool. But like it has a lock on it and stuff like that. So like we have lots of different things all around the village, from either what it was like to live in early medieval Scandinavia or what the culture was like. And we love talking to people and answering all those different types of questions. Yeah,
so there's no horns on the Viking helmet. Is that a myth?
Yes. So the horns on the helmet is generally just a bad idea. You're giving your enemy a handle to pull your head around anywhere you want. It looks a little bit silly. There's a couple different misconceptions of like where it came from, but basically originated when a guy named Wagner wanted to write an opera. Found one source where like they're described or depicted with horns, and that could have just been like Vikings with devil horns, and said, I'm going to go with that. And then Bugs Bunny came along and was like, I'm going to like parody that opera. So then Bugs Bunny has horns on the helmets because the opera had horns on the helmets, and then that just got locked in the cultural zeitgeist. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Norman. This is very educational, honestly, and very educational and just fun for us to do. We like bringing people on who like we don't typically get to see. So thank you for being here and good luck at the rest of your time in Minot. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the weather as well as hear about some student events from an MSU Life member.
Thank you to all of our underwriters. Trinity Health is a comprehensive healthcare system based in Minot, North Dakota.
Fiance, with all your prom and bridal needs, located in downtown Minot.
KCJB 910 AM, Minot's news and information station.
Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports.
KIZZ FM Z94, playing today's hit music.
Mix 99.9, Minot's music mix.
SRT, offering a number of services including phone, TV, internet, and security.
KRRZ 1390 AM, Minot's classic hits.
KZPR 105.3 FM, Minot's rock station.
East End, where the poor is worth so much more, located in downtown Minot.
Qdoba, easy, on time, full of flavor.
Nice Impressions, no job is too big or too small, located in downtown Minot.
MSU Beavers Hockey. Online info at msubeavers.com.
Forward Communication, connecting professionals in the Midwest.
El Azteca, authentic Mexican food on North Broadway near the airport.
MSU Theater Department. Year-round entertainment.
Red and Green, MSU's student-run newspaper.
MSU Bookstore. For all your campus needs.
Minot Nutrition Addiction, offering healthy smoothies and meal replacements on the go.
H-Bar-B Construction, for all your oil field needs.
Bear's Cat Donuts, located on Broadway across from Minot State Campus.
Welcome back to MSU Inside Out. If you're just joining us now, I'm your co-host, Janie Wunderlich.
And I'm Cole Clementich.
We've been expecting the weather to cool down quite a bit lately, but today it hit over 80 degrees. Hannah, tell us more on why is it so warm?
Yeah, honestly, you know, if I had a degree in meteorology, I could tell you why it was so warm, but all I can tell you right now is that the western side of the state is in the high 70s and the low 80s, with Minot being 81. Williston has the high across the state with 84, Dickinson at 79, and Bismarck at 77. But on the eastern side of the state, we have a little bit more temperatures that look more reminiscent of fall weather. 68 degrees in Grand Forks, 75 in Fargo. And like Janie said, yeah, today the high was 81 in Minot. It was 81 in Minot, very sunny all day, and then the low was 46. So looking ahead at the 7-day forecast, it looks a little bit more like fall weather. We have 70s, 60s, and then in the evening we have 50s and 40s. So I would say you can maybe start to put your air conditioner away. We have a couple days this week where it's going to be a little bit rainy on Saturday. So if you're going to be at the football game, just make sure you bring an extra jacket or an umbrella. But towards the end of the week, it is going to get a little bit closer to freezing. So if you have any plants outside, just make sure you bring those in. And we also, because of the Hostfest, we have the temperatures in the Scandinavian countries right now. In Reykjavik, it is 48 degrees. In Oslo, it's 44. In Copenhagen, it's 52. In Stockholm, it's 43. And in Helsinki, it's 47. So if you don't like those temperatures, I hate to tell it to you, but these are the temperatures we're going to be looking at in a couple months. So if you haven't made it to the Hostfest yet, you might want to go check out their Scandinavian sweaters so that you can be prepared and you can be warm for the rest of the winter. How about you, Cole? Do you have all of your winter gearing in check yet?
Winter gear is ready, and I also have a little bit of Scandinavian heritage in my family as well, some Sweden and some Norway descent as well, and yeah, being able to celebrate the Scandinavian Heritage Festival like the Norsk Hostfest is really a fun time. But with that being said, she is one of the hardworking members on MSU Life and brings a lot of North Dakota knowledge as a Devils Lake High School alumni, and also had the time of her life on stage at Slamabama here on campus. Paige Larson joins us here in the studio. Paige, thank you for making some time today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, so just kind of an early look at student events. What have they looked like so far here on campus?
Student events have looked pretty good this year. We always want more students to be coming to all the events, and the freshman class has been really good with showing up to everything, so it's always good to come out and have some fun.
And I think that's very important too, especially, trying to get, new students involved early and often. You talk about, just like that class, like you said, what are some of the popular events that have popped up so far here around campus?
Bingo is definitely like one of our biggest events that we have. All of them are fun and people out and doing things, but Bingo's has been definitely the biggest one that we've had, and we have Bingo coming up in a couple weeks for homecoming again, and hope to see everybody there.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. And as for some upcoming events, what should some students be looking forward to here in the next couple weeks?
So homecoming week, there's something every single day of the week. So there's bingo, there's coronation, voting for coronation, free lunch every day, 500 ways to win, a mentalist, some free giveaways. So there's always something to do on homecoming week. So always look for MSU Life's posts and be ready.
And talking about MSU Life on social media, you guys follow pretty much every student on campus. I mean, it's a really cool scene to see there. For new students that are interested, describe what it's like working for MSU Life.
Working for MSU Life, you get to plan out the events, you get to be like behind the scenes. There's definitely some perks, like if we give away free t-shirts, you always get the t-shirts first, or if you help out, maybe like you'll get something in return, like, okay, put it underneath the table or something. It's always so fun to just be able to help with things and like be involved and know everybody on campus.
That's awesome, and being able to set up for such events. Talk about some of your notable experiences at maybe a few events. What are some ones that pop off on your head?
Well, I always help out with bingo, even if it's not like calling out the numbers, it's giving out prizes or giving out tickets and like saying hi to every single person that walks in and just being that happy face that everybody sees at all the events and handing out prizes and seeing people like get something for free. They're all just, even if it is just like a little cup or anything, they're always happy just because you didn't have to pay for it and it was something to do that night.
Oh yeah, it definitely helps bring a smile as well, always bring that happy face. And yeah, unfortunately we're all out of time, but that's a lot of good insight on some MSU Life student events coming up. So we thank you, Paige, again.
Yes, thank you.
Once again, that was Paige Larson, hardworking member of MSU Life and Devils Lake High School alumni. When we come back, Parker is going to discuss a lot of what's going on for Minot State sports. Don't go anywhere. You are watching MSU Inside Out. Hello everyone and welcome back to MSU Inside Out. As promised, the MSU football team was in action this past weekend at Southwest Minnesota State, and Parker has more on what happened. And Parker, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Cole. It was heartbreak in Marshall, Minnesota last Saturday for the Beavers. After being down 14-3 at halftime, the Beavers football team scored 17 points in the second half to tie the game and ultimately force overtime. Unfortunately, the Southwest Minnesota State University defense was too much to handle as they kept the Beavers out of the end zone in the extra period. The Mustangs did sneak away with a 27-20 victory. This Saturday, they host Bemidji State University in the Battle of the Beavers. While Bemidji State is only 2-2 on the season, they are riding the momentum of back-to-back wins. They also have history on their side, as they have not lost to Minot State in any of their last 17 meetings. Kickoff this Saturday will be at 1 o'clock, with tailgating beginning at 11. The women's soccer team is also picking up some much-needed momentum as they near the end of their regular season. The Beavers have won 3 of their last 5 games and tied in the other 2. Their last game ended in a 1-0 victory over the Upper Iowa Peacocks. The lone goal in that game was scored by redshirt senior forward Chloe Allen. With the Beavers not losing since September 9th, they have moved up to 5th in the NSIC standings. They will have prime opportunities to move up even further in the standings before the season ends on October 27th. Although they have to travel on all 4 games, the Beavers will be playing all 4 teams that are currently ahead of them in the standings, including number 18 ranked Minnesota State University Mankato. Fear not though, Beavers fans. The recent slew of away games is almost over. The girls will be back at the Herb next Friday when they play Augustana University. It was another strong weekend for the Beavers men's cross-country team. At the Roy Griak Invitational in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the men's team finished 9th out of 29 teams. The Beavers had 4 runners finish in the top 100. They were led by seniors Nick Mariana and Jacob Jensen, who finished 15th overall and 32nd overall. Despite the 17-spot difference in the finish, only 24.4 seconds separated the 2 runners. They were followed by sophomore Trent Holiday, who finished 82nd overall, and freshman Charles Hardcastle, who finished 86th overall. The team will be back in action again on October 7th in Jamestown at the Jamestown Jimmy Invitational. So guys, Battle of the Beavers this weekend, you guys going?
I will actually be at the hockey games, but I hear the Battle of the Beavers is another one of those fun student events going on campus. Janie, will you be around here for those?
No, I will be out of town this weekend, but I will be here cheering in spirit. The newly developing esports team is far from slowing down. Trevin is standing by with Dr. Ethan Valentine. More on the subject.
Yeah, thank you, Janie, and you're right. The Minot State Esports Club is growing fast, and it's taking big leaps since its arrival last year. And here with me now is Dr. Ethan Valentine, Club President for Esports here on campus. Ethan, thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So could you just, to start off, give me an overview of esports and what the club entails?
Absolutely. So esports is essentially competitive video gaming. So we have teams of students from the very beginning of their studies all the way through their kind of graduation and their senior year who are playing together and then competing against schools from across the country as well as part of our club.
Okay, so you mentioned that you guys are competing against other schools. So, like, who are you competing and, like, for what games are you competing for?
Sure. So right now we have 2 teams competing. Those teams are competing in Rocket League and League of Legends. League of Legends is sort of a team-based area of control game, whereas Rocket League is kind of it's almost like soccer, but with rocket cars. And they're playing against a whole bunch of different schools. So this week, for instance, our Rocket League team played against a team from Michigan. League of Legends team actually played just last night, had a win against a team from Michigan as well. So we've had teams from Michigan, teams from Florida, teams from here in North Dakota. We've played against the University of Jamestown and a whole bunch of other groups from all over the country, Pennsylvania, Florida, California, and so on.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear that not just sports or esports here in North Dakota, but also from around other states. So I know you started this club with just under a year ago. So what did it take to start this club, and how has that journey been for you?
Oh, sure. So, yeah, a group of us in the faculty and staff essentially got started last fall with some students in kind of conversations about esports on campus and what we could do to really support students, provide some opportunities for them. And then in January of this year, we actually sort of formally got the club started. And it really was a group of faculty and staff, and especially our student leaders, who were really invested in having a new community, having a space that they could play with others, and kind of reinvest and re-engage in the university. And so really it's just been kind of a process for me of helping the students organize, helping them get things scheduled, apply for funding, and all of those kinds of things. But a lot of the credit definitely goes to those student leaders.
Awesome. So are there games that you play yourself, games that you're passionate about?
Oh, yeah. So my wife and I actually game together a lot. We're more into a little bit slower paced games than some of our esports titles, but we enjoy things like MMOs. We enjoy kind of strategy games like Civilization. And those kinds of things as well that we can play together.
That's awesome. So is there any way that you come up with these games, or just kind of like the students, what is popular at that time that they go with?
It's very much student interest. And so far the main games that we've had interest in have been Rocket League, League of Legends, and then Valorant. But if there are other games that students are interested in, they want to join the club, they want to compete with us, just about any game that you can play together, we are very supportive of if you have.
That's good to hear. So I've been told that you guys are trying to make the club into a varsity sport. Is that like one of your main goals that's coming up? And if it is, how are you guys going to achieve that?
That's kind of a long-term goal, yeah, that we would really love to have a kind of varsity structure tied to this, and hopefully to have both varsity and club where the two groups can kind of interact. We can have the club feeding into varsity sports, the varsity sports kind of gaining extra interest and bringing in students from elsewhere as well. A big part of that is kind of collaborations on campus, working with groups from both the academic side and the athletic side and MSU Life, and kind of bringing people together to really build something that will provide an opportunity for students beyond what we can provide on just the club level.
Thank you. That's really great to hear. I'm glad that esports is really taking to Minot State, and Minot State University students are taking to it as well. So once again, that was Ethan Valentine for Esports Club here on Minot State University, and all those who are Advent gamers and want to be a part of it, just come talk to him, and you can really be a part of that Minot State Esports Club. And I'm going to send you guys back to Janie and Cole for the wrap-up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much there, Trevin. And again, esports really popping, not only on campus, but also around the state and around the world as well. But Janie, we had ourselves a great show today. Hostfest
sure
guests and MSU Life, talking student events. What else did we have?
Yeah, it was just an all-around fun show. I love the fact that we get to bring people in from the community, and even if they're just visiting in Minot, it's just so much fun to have those different guests. If you didn't watch our episode last week, you should go check that out. We had Mary Bruno on there. She's a letterpress professional, you could say, and a few other not stock guests were on there as well. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good show. We do have a big announcement, though.
Yep,
so Cole and I are two of the managers that make up the KMSU managers team here at Minot State, which is our radio and TV station. And we've been working really hard, and we're excited to announce that Minot State will be having a talent show on November 3rd at 7 p.m. in the Beaver Dam. So if you or anyone you know is interested or talented and you think that they should do it, there are cash prizes for first, second, and third place. Still working on numbers for that, but we are excited to actually host a talent show. I just feel like there's a lot of talent on campus that doesn't get to be showcased.
Yep, and be sure to contact Janie for that as well. And also be aware, we have a Saturday showdown coming up this Saturday, 2.5 hours before kickoff, Minot State versus Bemidji State. But that is going to do it for us, guys. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.